Hi everybody, welcome back to Google Next 2025. We're here at the Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas. So my name is Dave Vellante. I'm here with Paul Nashwati, and we're going to dig into Docker. Docker's a company that really got it all started in the whole DevOps movement and Kubernetes, and we were there from the beginning. Super excited to have Mark Cavage on. He's the newly minted president and COO at Docker, and Tushar Jain, who's the executive vice president of product and engineering at Docker. Gents, welcome.
Thanks so much for having us.
Okay, 5 weeks in, so
yeah.
What's the vision, what's the change, what's the 100-day plan?
The 100-day plan, huh? You're going to go straight to brass tacks? All right, okay.
What are the KPIs?
Yeah, no, you sound like my board. Yeah. Great question. Look, we're super excited about everything. Really, Docker, as you said at the very beginning, Docker started DevOps, Docker started containerization. Docker's largely defined what it means to be cloud native for a long time now. I think in the next generation, in the years ahead, we're super focused on developer productivity, security, AI, and really helping developers simplify their workloads and help some of the, Paul has mentioned this earlier, help bring some of the modernization of brownfield workloads into the container native space and really help that next generation of agentic apps.
What attracted you to Docker? I mean, it's a beloved brand and product, but what brought you there?
Great, another good question. Well, there's a couple things, team and mission. So this character, Tushar, and I have known each other for a very long time. But in terms of like the asset and the company, I mean, we have 20 million registered developers. We're doing billions and billions of Docker Hub pulls a month. I mean, we're effectively the ecosystem. And so in terms of a place that you could go drive a lot of impact and make a big dent in the industry, I think Docker's a relatively unrivaled position. And really, we'll talk some more in a bit, but some really exciting innovation coming ahead. So.
Tim O'Reilly, we all know who Tim O'Reilly is. He's kind of inspired John and me when we started theCUBE. He has a saying, deliver more value than you extract.
That's right.
And that's something that's been part of our ethos for a long time, and Docker sort of is in there, but that's got to be really satisfying from an engineering standpoint, the value. I mean, it's almost unquantifiable, the value that you delivered. I wonder if you could comment on that, Tushar.
Absolutely, so actually that phrase, deliver more value than you extract, is I think the definition of a successful platform. Like a platform is one where people on top of you make more value than you do. And Docker's been that for a generation at least at this point, right? Like it's what, 10 years old? And now as I look ahead, I think there's massive room for innovation here and much need for the same thing to happen in the next phase of AI development and making all the workloads that are running highly secure as we make that happen. So one, as a technologist, is just a great position to be in. Like there are very few places, if you get out of the CSPs, there are very few places where you can actually go drive massive platform infrastructure impact across the board. And Docker, we have that opportunity, and I'm just really excited to be able to drive that forward. And we'll see this in a number of innovations we'll talk about.
Yeah, I mean, Docker Hub is really doing that, right? I mean, we see in our research that 75% of our respondents in our research indicated that they're using 6 to 15 different tools across their platforms. That's a lot. With the desire, actually in 2025 alone, 54% of those respondents indicate that they want to move towards a more unified approach, right? But to Dave's point, delivering more value, right? That's what Docker Hub was doing, right? That's what your intentions were, right?
Yes, so Docker Hub is sort of the backbone of open source container development, right? We get 11 billion pulls a month. If you want to get open source images, you come to Hub. It's the source of everything. Right. It's where everyone's pulling from. And it's all hosted for free and we give it to you, right? And now on top of that, we can start capitalizing and solving new problems for customers, which we're doing as we're hearing from them.
Yeah, and it was a paradigm shift over the last year, right? I mean, big changes in the platform, more adoption. It sounds like you have a significant amount of uptick from what I'm seeing in the market.
It's been growing for a long time and it keeps growing. To double down on the point Tushar said, we effectively are the upstream for the internet's open source distribution now, and so you come to one place, you're coming to Docker to get it. And so that's really, to your point on all the numbers and the consolidation and what you're seeing inside of the enterprise is totally tracks with what we see too, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and we are seeing a massive shift. I mean, we always sort of bromide, but these waves only come around every so often. This one, I think, when you listen to people like Jensen and Thomas talk about this wave, you realize the entire stack is changing. And I can go through whether it's compute or storage or the data platform, I mean, all the way up through the applications. So my question is, so two-part question. One, for the president and COO, interested in how you see the vision of the company changing as a result of this AI wave. And from a technical standpoint, what does it mean to be sort of AI optimized in your world? Maybe start with the vision.
Great question. So today we launched Docker Model Run as an example, so I'll come back to this in just a second. But to your question of where are we going with the company and how are we thinking about AI and how much changes, two things. Number one, we actually think containers are the right packaging for most open source, or most AI applications, excuse me. And when you think about the workload that an agent has to go off and do, and one, independently be versioned, independently be shipped, talk to another agent, talk to tools, like all of that still feels like containers. And so we deeply believe that Docker is going to be the home run place or the center of in the AI world, packaging up agentic apps, deploying agentic apps, securing agentic apps. And the Docker Model Run announcement I just mentioned a second ago, we're making a lot of investments. They were really excited about this. We've got tremendous, like the booth is, a lot of people are lined up over there. We're making it incredibly easy and Docker simple, to use that kind of word, to download and run any open source model that you want from Docker Hub. So you get GPU acceleration on your laptops, and ultimately that will translate to flexibility across cost, performance, latency, and prod. So
Tushar, based on what Mark just said, it's almost like the market is just coming to you. It doesn't require like rethinking the architecture, like for instance, storage. It's got to be disaggregated, or compute has to think of cluster management. I mean, those are massive changes. The engineering task for you is more extending as opposed to rewriting, is that right?
It's a mixture of things actually. So,
yeah, please.
As I think about to follow on what Mark said, there are a few aspects to think about of like what we have to deliver, right? What does it mean for AI applications for us to do a good job with them with containers? One, you need really good developer experience, all the way from inner loop all the way through to outer loop. Second, you need performance across all of it, and then third, you need security across all this. This is what containers did for like microservices when that started. So now as I take that and I think about what's happening in the AI space, take Docker Model Run, it's done a few things. One, we've made the developer experience really easy in the inner loop, and we follow this all the way through. Doing this did require interesting technical challenges and changes, because how you expose the GPU inside your container is non-trivial. How you
exploit the capabilities.
Exploit the capability, right? And so there's like deep work we've done there, and then as we bring this out. As you go to production, there are interesting challenges here that we'll face. If you look at it, two fundamental physics have changed. The size of containers with models have gone bigger. Yep. And second, now instead of like CPUs we are willing to throw away in the old world, we now have GPUs we care a ton about and want to optimize and get every microsecond out of them. But the infrastructure still hasn't caught up. Everything from how we are actually deploying packaging and how we're running in Kubernetes and stuff. And those are all areas and opportunities for us to go drive. And then last point here, even as you think about tools like MCP coming out, we've worked with Anthropic since the beginning. That's another place, I think, where there is a lot of room across both developer productivity, developer experience, security, and sort of discovery and management of all of that.
I think that makes a lot of sense. And when I think about the announcements that I saw at the keynote today, there's a lot of synergies between Docker Model Runner and the announcements, right? I mean, when you think about the hybrid cloud or multi-cloud approaches, when you think about the AI powered, like you were talking about the size of the containers. But the other thing I also want to understand a little bit more, and I know we've talked about this in a lot of briefings that we've had, but is the bridge in the gap between the old and new. Right, that's a big factor, because obviously we're here looking at the new opportunities, but when we look at bridging the gap between old and new, people need a path to get to the new. What would you recommend for them?
Well, great question. I just talked to 2 customers today about this very problem. Some interesting challenges that come up. For example, many of them run Windows environments versus Linux environments, right. And it's just not so easy to port. So what we see a lot of is across both in solving the developer productivity problem of let's call it the brownfield app, giving them a container native workflow on the laptop so they can actually just have better velocity. We see this with people displacing things like VirtualBox and moving to container environments, again, with that old school app. And then the other is, the classic problem of I've got a monolith and I need to decompose it, just eating away at the edges and starting to change the packaging model first and foremost so you get velocity, and then eating away at the edges with ancillary services that kind of live in the orbit of the big monolith. And ultimately that takes a long time. Many people are on many many year, many decade journey, I suppose, in some cases to transform these things, but.
Yeah.
Can we get into Docker Model Runner? Like, what is it? What does it do? What problems you're solving?
You want to take it?
Docker Model Runner, really simply is, we have open source models of catalog. You can just start running them locally to develop apps against them locally. You do Docker Model Run with the name of the open source model, and you get it. That's it. That's simple. Runs locally on your Mac today. Tomorrow it'll be on all the platforms as we roll this out across Linux. So for developers, what this really doing is making it really easy to write applications against open source models. We'll also be modifying Compose, so you can write an application, write a Compose stack that spins up your app server and an open source model and get all that working. And so for developers, this just makes it where they are, we meet them where they are and fit into their workflow and let them run against open source models. And the bet here really is that developers will use open source models and embedded models and small language models in a number of ways. We'll also let them publish their own into our catalog.
But again, you're coming back to unification too, right? So a developer can have a bespoke deployment, use the tools that they're comfortable with, but still use Docker Model Runner as the way to run.
That's absolutely right. I mean, to answer the question a little bit more on why do this in the first place, look, we're believers that the world is going to be multi-LLM. You're going to see many people use this word, the large language model garden. People are going to pick the right thing for the right job and the right agent at the right time, and you might use one for OCR and one for text processing and one for customer support and so on. And so developers need flexibility. We think local LLMs are super important because again, whether it's for cost, latency, privacy, data sovereignty, any number of reasons, it just makes sense in some cases. In other cases, people use the big hosted cloud models. But ultimately, to your point of unification, we want it to be easy, and you want to take all the muck and the crap away from a developer of what it means to go build an app that works with an LLM, whether it's locally or on a big one in the cloud. And so just make that easy for them to focus on the job they want to do, which is, I just want to build an app, and I want my app to be an agent, and I just want to make that easy and painful, and hopefully we have developers from Docker continue to hug us the way they do now.
Do you think it allows for organizations to hire more application generalists and specialists? Because what we're seeing in our research is 67% of respondents in our research are looking to hire generalists over specialists because they can't find the skill to hire for the specialist. Does this help?
Go ahead. I was saying, I think absolutely, right? In large part by making, what's happening in this space is, instead of having MLEs and specialists, like machine learning engineers for everything, what's happening is software development is having to build general Gen AI applications. So anything we can do to plug into their workflows makes it easier to have generalists fit in. There's another example of what Docker model run. In addition to running, we've standardized how models are packaged up into open source OCI models, into those specs. So now they can also take the models they build and put them into any OCI registry, including their own on-prem one. This again fits into where they are and fits in to the normal workflow, which allows generalists to keep doing what they're doing and use this.
Perfect. So, Docker, I mean, platform's all the rage, but they've been the rage for a while. Platforms be products. So as the newly minted head, how do you think about Docker evolving from what was once a beloved dev tool to a platform? What does that mean? What is the, Nikesh Arora from Palo Alto uses the term platformization of the industry. How do you platformize the company? How do you think about platforms as the future?
Great question. Well, one, I think Docker's actually always been a platform when you think about it. So I'm going to call you on that one a little bit.
No, it's fair enough.
Okay, but in terms of what does that mean to be the container platform company, I think we have to solve all the problems developers have, everything from the IDE all the way through to prod and that entire life cycle. And again, today, Docker is already present every step along the way, but what we hear from our customers and developers all the time is, I really need help securing it, I really need help with CI, I really need help with with bringing down the cost and time to my deployments, I really need help building AI applications, and I really need help modernizing all the things in my stack. And so, for us, being a platform means we're going to have first-class offerings across every step of that journey, from your laptop to prod, and as Tushar said, and you said, having an ecosystem people that get more value out of it than we do on top of us to keep working with Docker, the platform as it exists today.
Tushar, what's your engineering team superpower?
I think really good developer experience, ability to go really deep technically, and combine those two. And it's rare to find both, where you have people who are strong deep, but can also pop back up and build a really good experience. And that's sort of Docker's superpower, I think, over time, right? It's like,
I'm also going to jump in for you, actually,
Yeah.
which is one is like passion, actually.
Passion,
Like
there you go, yes.
like the developers inside Docker, inside of Tushar's org, like they've all come from outside of Docker, and they are fervent believers in making Docker better. Because they live the pain.
As is the community.
Yes, it's the community, yeah.
Also, because they've all been active Docker users themselves, whether they add Docker or not, right? It's tech that's everywhere.
And you keep investing too, like the test suite is another area where you invested. That engineering team that came in was solid team.
Yep.
So yeah, all this investment that you're putting in the company is really building your bench strength.
Yeah, and yeah, what you're going to see over the months ahead is just these things coming together in a tighter and tighter integration loop to make it faster to deploy, make it faster to develop, make it cheaper to develop, let you build AI apps with hiring less generalists, and ultimately secure the supply chain, which is
I have to ask the question because you led it here. All right, over the next few months, what's coming?
All right, well I see I walked into that
Yeah,
one.
you did.
No, great question. Actually, next week, I think you'll see some very exciting stuff coming out of us around the MCP protocol. Tushar said this earlier. We've been working with Anthropic since the very beginning. We've already got, we've got an investment in Docker Model Run we just talked about. You've told us all the numbers on Docker Hub that you look at. It makes a lot of sense. There's a natural place to go find, manage, discover, package, and install MCP tooling. So
very cool.
Stay tuned for more.
Great. Well, Savannah took a break, so I'm going to ask the Savannah question. I'll start with Tushar, and then Mark, you'll bring us home. What do you want to be able to say next year at Google Cloud Next 2026 that you cannot say today?
Everything that Mark said we will do has happened, and we've got lots of customers on it. So meaning, we're a container platform that solves, we have customers using us to solve problems across developer productivity, all the way through production. They're securing the end-to-end SDLC. It's easier to get compliance by running on us all the way through, no matter where they run. AI workloads are running on us because it is much better developer experience, it's highly secure. Also, we haven't touched on this too much here, but where the publisher network for AI has also grown rapidly on us. Satellite Hub is also a massive marketplace where everyone publishes images on us. I think those three things. We've got security, and security, developer productivity, and AI, all that is running, and we've got customers running on us. That's it.
And Mark, the board may have you on the 100-day shot clock, but what do you want to say a year from now that you can't say today?
Yeah, I would just underline everything Tushar just said, and actually I'd flip it back to you. What you should be asking me in a year is, what do you want to be saying in 5 years? And so, my hope is a year from now, all that is, all the things we're talking about exist, and you'll have a whole lot more press releases to have pointed at, and really you're going to be asking us,
awesome.
How much bigger we get.
Well, guys, thanks for coming in a pinch. I know it was tight time frame, but it was a pleasure having you on, and best of luck.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Dave Vellante for Paul Nashwati, Savannah Peterson, and John Furrier. Also, you're watching theCUBE's coverage of Google Cloud Next 2025. We'll be right back right after this short break.